So in this video, I'm going to be covering things that I found alarming on the University of Waterloo's website addressing mental health and problems and things that I feel are missing and addressing changes that need to be addressed. If any of you guys want to access or look at any of the PDFs and the documents that I am using in this video, I have linked it all in the description below, so feel free to go through it with me or to read it on your own time and see if there's anything that you find alarming. So basically, the first thing that I'm going to be going through with you guys is the President's Advisory Committee on Student Mental Health final report. The diagram on page 17 is so significant to me because it addresses the fact that the university doesn't look at everything equally and all issues equally, because this diagram is showing that there's more emphasis placed on issues that all students face, progressing to the issues that the least amount of students face. According to this report, the model conceptualizes a spectrum of ways that post-secondary institutions can respond to mental health issues. For example, the top 3 categories are population-based approaches for health promotion to keep the entire study body mentally well and flourishing. Example, policy, campus culture, and environmental support. Moving forward, the middle of the model strategies focus on mental health disease prevention and early intervention, which includes building the capacity of the system to respond to student needs and promoting self-management and coping skills. Finally, the bottom strategies focus on the smaller percentage of students struggling with mental health concerns or illness and who need access to comprehensive services and crisis management. The reason why I found this model so concerning is because the reason why I experienced it and the reason why it hasn't been treated with such importance is because, according to this diagram, I am at the lowest. All of these things indirectly affect every student on campus. So why is it that there's a hierarchy of what all students face versus things that only a few amount of students face? It's all important and it should all be addressed in the same way and all be addressed with the same importance. So it doesn't matter how many students are faced with trying to access accessible mental health services. The fact is that our university isn't an inclusive environment and isn't accessible, so we need to consider that every single thing on this list affects every single student, because it does. So this diagram in itself is just useless. It really doesn't address anything other than showing and proving that not all students, according to the university, are equal, and they're not seen as equals, because it shouldn't matter how many students are affected, because that changes how it's treated and how serious the issue is and how they see the severity of these issues on campus. The next thing that I found concerning is that one of the recommendations is that accessibility services are equipped with the capacity to review mental health related accommodation requests on campus while maintaining confidentiality of a student. So what do they define as confidentiality? Is it the fact that I have a mental illness? Is it the fact that I'm a part of accessibility? Is it the fact that I have ADHD? Like, which part is it? Because when I was in my class last semester, my teacher only let students with health issues use a computer. There was no confidentiality between whether me having a mental illness or not. The only confidentiality was that no one knew what it was, but it was clear that I had something. And I know it's clear that there's no physical disability on me, so everyone in the class basically knew I had a mental health related issue. So there is no confidentiality, because if it mattered so much, if I had said something, there should be a rule that all students should be able to have the same rights and same access to equipment and information and things like that, but that wasn't the case. Another thing that really bugged me is on page 20. It says that discussion of teaching approaches among the academic panel brought forward several known examples of interactions between faculty and students that were identified as sources of undue stress. The group expressed concern that these negative interactions, although relatively rare, could have an impact on the mental health of affected students. They noted that students often feel powerless in their relationships with some faculty, recognizing that most interactions between student and faculty are positive and professional. The possibility of these few exceptions need to be taken seriously, and consistent applied methods of redress may need to be developed to support or supplement the current policy 33 ethical behavior. I don't understand what's the purpose of this paragraph. Like, they're assuming that there are a few experiences where students are treated in an appropriate way, which is, in my opinion and in my experience, not true, because most of my interactions with people on campus and with teaching professionals at the University of Waterloo has been inappropriate. So because I represent such few students at the University of Waterloo, I happen to experience a lot more inappropriate interactions with professors because of this. So it doesn't mean these situations are relatively rare. It just means that it's relatively rare the amount of students that have to endure it. Majority of my experiences have been negative, so this doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't like that it's saying that it could have had an impact on a student's mental health, because I know for a fact that it did have an impact on my mental health. When you're in class and a teacher's uploading content that isn't accessible to you, that does affect your mental health, because you're not able to learn things the way that everyone else in the class does. There's really nowhere to go, because even when you go to accessibility and they say they're going to fix the problem, or they say they're going to do something about it, nothing happens. You don't hear back from anyone. This doesn't make any sense to me. Like, we are powerless. It's not that students feel powerless. We are powerless. I'm not too sure what group of students these were, but I feel like this needs to be more specific. Were these students in accessibility? Were these students people of color? All of those things need to be addressed. So the next thing that I found alarming is on page 22. So basically it states that for the past decade, the University of Waterloo has organized a Mental Health Wellness Day as a way of bringing awareness about mental illness, wellness, and services. It's so wonderful that my school has dedicated a whole day once a year to spreading awareness to mental health. That's wonderful. That's amazing. Honestly, God, doesn't mean anything to me, because mental health is important every single day. So if you're going to be all supportive and all positive and all inclusive for a whole day and try to make it seem that that's what you guys care about, it doesn't mean anything. You guys care about innovation every single day. They need to use their creativity skills and their innovation skills combined with talking about mental health to create a way where they can implement mental health awareness every single day, because Mental Health Wellness Day once a year is not doing anything for anyone, really. So now I'm going to be going through the academic accommodations for student and disabilities roles and responsibilities PDF that I found on the University of Waterloo's accessibility page. So on page 1, it starts with this big paragraph in, I don't know, like size 14 font, stating that the university students have the right to be free of discrimination because of disability, to receive fair and equitable treatment, and to receive educational accommodations which are reasonable, necessary, and appropriate on the basis of the specific disability. I don't understand why this has to be on the first page when they don't even live by this, and there's no point of it being in bigger letters, because it doesn't prove to me or any other student in accessibility this is what you guys stand by. I haven't been treated in a way that has been free of discrimination because of my disability. I haven't received fair or an equitable treatment because of my disability, so this is a big lie. On page 3, it says that Accessibility Services provides resources to faculty to support them in accommodating and working with students with disabilities. I don't believe this for a second. Last semester, when I went to my advisor and told her about how I felt about me having to be singled out due to me having a learning disability, and while the rest of the class couldn't use their computer, it didn't matter that it wasn't an inclusive environment. It didn't matter that I had told her that it was something that caused me anxiety. Although she had agreed in the first place, I still had to end up working in that environment regardless of me addressing my concerns and her understanding. Accessibility supports faculty and lets them do whatever the hell they want, and they get away with it. So they're saying that my rights are to be accommodated with dignity and courtesy in classrooms and other areas on campus. I haven't been treated with dignity or courtesy in classroom, yet alone around places on campus. I was in the library a couple weeks ago, sitting there crying where the little cafes where people buy coffee on the second floor. There were 2 girls beside me buying outfits for St. Patrick's Day. There was teachers who have had lining up getting coffee. They're staring at me crying. There's other people walking by me staring at me like I'm crazy, and not one person could have come and been like, hey, are you okay? No one ever came to be like, everything's going to be okay. Which, I don't care where you're going. I don't care if you're buying coffee. I don't care if you're tired. It takes 2 seconds to do it. I've seen students just walk away from other kids when they see them hurt, when they see them upset, like it's not even their problem. And it's just so, it's mind-boggling to me that this is saying that we have a right to be treated with dignity and with courtesy yet it doesn't happen. And to be fair, it's not the students' fault that they don't treat other students with kindness and courtesy when something happens, because I don't know when we're ever taught to do it. No one ever tells us. There's never been a class that was in where they're like, make sure you're kind to your classmates, make sure you're kind to teachers, whatever. They don't teach us that. So I don't understand why it's in here. If this is stated as a right, shouldn't it be advertised? Shouldn't it be taught in class? Shouldn't it be stated somewhere else other than in here? Because if students aren't following it, that means there's something wrong. On page 4, it says that another right of students is that they should be provided with a prompt, equitable investigation and resolution of complaints. I've never heard back from anyone at Accessibility other than the advisor who at Accessibility who had said the remarks that she did. Other than that situation, there's never been a time where I learned what had happened or heard back what was going to happen or what was going to be the outcome of the situation that had happened to me. So basically, they're not following the things that are written here. If this is apparently a right of students, it's not being followed, because there's no way that majority of the times I don't get to hear back what's going on. So those are some of the things that I found alarming that's on the public website of the University of Waterloo that anyone can get a hold of. And hopefully my school takes these things into account and sees the problem with it, because it's showing students who have disabilities that you don't really care for them the way that you say you do. So you can put whatever you want in bold letters and make huge statements about it, but if you're not showing and you're not proving to students that that's what you guys actually care for, I'm not going to believe it, because I don't believe it. It's just things in bold letters that you guys claim to do but don't follow. So that is everything I had to show you guys in part 3, and I hope to see you guys in part 4, which is the final part of this little video series. Bye guys.